So, I'm here with my old mate Maria again.
Hi, Nate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I've been a bit of a busy boy. You haven't seen me for a while.
I
So
noticed.
so I was like, well, let's have a chat. Let's catch up and let's talk about the trials and tribulations of building a business.
As usual.
I mean, it's nuts, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I like how we talk about our stuff on podcasts before even talking in private. But amazing.
Yeah.
This is the way to do it.
How's I see that you're doing a lot of cool stuff on social media.
Yes, I started my third business.
Yeah.
So I completely understand when you say the troubles and tribulations of starting a business. But it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, exciting, daunting, and a million other words, some of which can't be podcasted on. But yeah, for me, it's been a long old slog, and I think that's part of the reason why I wanted to have this conversation, have a chat about, I see that your business is coming into play now. You're putting lots of good content together. I see you organising courses, right? And I've got this little app that I've been building. Well, it's not very little. It's quite big.
Yes.
And I wanted to kind of share our experiences to the audience about what the experiences we have to go through to get to where we want to with ours, our businesses. Obviously, they're both in similar fields, but in different ways. So tell me more about your journey at the moment and what you're trying to do.
So I am building a coaching business, which is basically all based on digital products, which is a super huge challenge because I am not good in tech at all. So I need to get help for everything. And when I try to do something alone, because I'm stubborn and I'm like, no, I need to do this alone, I go crazy and I take too much time to do one thing. So, but it's good because I'm learning new things.
Yeah.
However, that is a challenge. But it's the biggest one at the moment. The rest is basically posting on social media because social media is my marketing funnel at the moment, is how I attract all my audience, clients, and etc. And then there is the actual job that is actually coaching. And I love it. I love it. Of all the things I did in my life, I think coaching is the thing that is fulfilling me the most.
Yeah.
Because it's really, yes, teaching people how to do things that you know how to do well and making them seeing it from a different perspective.
Do you know my degree was in coaching psychology? That was actually my degree. All those
Coaching and psychology.
Coaching psychology, yeah.
Wow, very nice.
Yeah, bit of a random one, wasn't it? But okay, so you're creating these courses, and what can people expect from these courses? So you're coaching influencers, creators.
Yes, I coach influencers, creators, and anyone that wants to start a career on social media.
Okay.
So any type of career. If you want to be a service provider as a business owner in social media, like a coach, a doctor, personal trainer, whatever. Or if you want to be a creator or an influencer in the sense of commercial influencer, like people that work with brands on promotion on their social media.
So you're teaching people how to essentially grow their audience and I assume monetize their following or and make a business out of being a creator or an influencer, so to speak.
Or a service provider. So yes, anything. But the focus is not even much on how to grow an audience because I don't believe that the business that you can actually make from your social media is directly related to the number of followers you have.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I believe in the number of followers that are actually building a community together with you. Because when you have engaged people, and I'm not talking about engagement that I like in comments, I'm talking about DMs, I'm talking about people that are actually listening to you, interacting with you, you build trust. And that is the most important thing, especially if you want to have sustainable incomes. Because at the end of the day, even if you're an influencer, brands, what they will look for is how much you can convert. So how much your audience will buy the product that you are advertising for them. And how do you make people buy your product is if you build trust. That's the only thing.
So do you feel that on a lot of the social channels now, people are building these communities and in turn that trust based on perhaps, I just use myself as an example, I talk about finance and kind of go into the politics and the economics of everything. From my experience, I feel like I've built a community of people that trust in what I'm talking about, knowing what I'm doing. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the user, that the creator is going to buy from you specifically, though, right?
Because I think there are different ways of creating a community. There is a way that is more intentional. So it's more like I'm helping you in some ways.
Yeah.
And there is a way that is more like I'm putting content out there. If you like it, good. Let's interact.
Yeah.
So it's a bit different, the level of intention that you have. Anyway, what I can say is that I see very few people actually building communities.
Okay.
Because to build a community, you need to really care about your audience.
Yes.
And a lot of the people that are on social media, they come to social media with an energy of taking.
Yes.
So it's validation, it's likes, comments. Like I want people to be there for me, but what I'm really giving them in exchange, apart from my content, you know, your job as a creator, it's never ending on creating content.
Yes.
It needs to be behind the scene a lot as well.
Consistent.
Consistent, yeah. I am a strong believer of consistency.
Yeah. I've been a bit lazy with that recently, but that's for other reasons, which I will share with us as things move on. So if you're creating these communities and the users are creating this trust in this specific creator or influencer, would you say that means that they have the ability to drive them to other platforms or other alternatives to be able to showcase their expertise elsewhere rather than the traditional Instagram, TikTok, Facebook?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely. Like, for example, when I don't sell only courses, okay, I also sell membership. A membership, for me, it's another platform where I upload other type of content that is, okay, you can call some kind of courses, let's say.
Yeah.
But if they're really interested in what you're saying, they're willing to transfer there.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a problem on where you want your followers to come.
Yeah.
And I said this in one of my videos on TikTok. The point is always building a community that would follow you no matter what, because at the end of the day, we are not owners of platforms.
Yes.
Especially social media.
Correct.
So in the moment social media gets banned or anything happens to social media, you still need to be able to have a personal brand that is strong enough that people will find you somewhere else or will come wherever you're going.
Yes.
So it's not possible that 100% of your audience is actually loyal followers that are trusting you, but you should aim for at least a 30-40%.
You know, from my perspective, and part of the reason why I've been building what I've been building is that creators give up quite quickly, and we don't even realize it. You don't see it, but the statistics show that 59% of beginner content creators don't earn, and on average, it takes them 6.5 months to earn their first dollar.
How many months?
6.5 months on average to earn their first dollar.
I thought even more, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, that's their first dollar, right? So, for me, I feel that content creation, this is why I started Creatria and started building Creatria. For me, it was that actually people out there have a lot to share and have a lot of information and can provide education, entertainment to individuals out there, which provides value to people and their lives. But unfortunately, due to let's call it the matrix, the system that we're in, unfortunately, if we're going to invest a lot of time in something, you're gonna, society tells us we have to earn something to be able to provide a living for ourselves, right? And that's why a lot of people give up so quickly. The reality is, if people had the opportunity to earn immediately, then perhaps what we would see is a whole new generation of content creators that have that expertise outside. That perhaps, mine is finance, yours is social media. It could be someone in real estate, or it could be someone that's a chef or whatever, anything. There's people out there that have real decent talents that aren't getting exposed on the social channels because the time that it takes to grow that audience, the time that it takes to create that content, the time that it takes to eventually earn that money, a lot of people have already given up.
Yes.
So for me, what I'm trying to combine here and say is, I'm kind of almost lining up what you're saying, and the basis is that you believe if you've created a community and you have people following you, that they will follow and move to another platform if there's value being provided because of the
Yes.
community that you built.
Yes.
Well, imagine if you could actually build something where you could earn on day one. Would that be powerful for creators out there, do you think?
For sure.
Interesting. So, well, let's see what's come with that as well then, shall we? Okay, so tell me more about what we can expect to see in your courses for creators out there.
Right, so you want me to spoiler alert?
A little, Con. You can give me something, right?
Yeah, so I have a course that is only for influencers. So people that are willing to be influencers, commercial influencers, making money by brands collaborations on social media. That's it. And that is the course that I provide. The membership is more for any type of person that wants to do a social media career. So it's influencers, creators, service providers, business owners, anything. Because I think in that membership, I mix mindset and strategy.
Yeah.
Because what I think is that the main problem that people have in social media when they come to social media to actually create content, and the main reason why they give up is because they come with the wrong mindset.
Yes.
Right. So apart from the good things like you have to be consistent, you have to believe in what you do, yes. But also, and apart from what I said before about the energy, that you have to come with an energy of giving rather than taking.
Yeah.
But it's also because they see social media as something like abstract, like it's a code that I need to crack. While it's very, very easy to understand the social media, there is the word social in it for a reason because it's made by people. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you can give power to the algorithm so much, but the rest is you as a person.
Is this a social media problem or a societal problem? Because actually, when you look at it, when you say, "Oh, people come with the wrong mindset," you know, they've got this thing of, "Oh, I want to take," but that's not a social media problem. That's a societal problem because we go back to the matrix that we're in, that people have to go out and earn. And if they can't earn, naturally they're like, well, okay, I'll focus on something else where I can earn. You know, I think from my perspective, I sat there creating content for 3 years and earned nothing. So I was just giving. But obviously I also understand at the same time that I got to live, right? So it depends, I suppose, from each individual's perspective. Some people just say, well, no, that my first priority is putting food on the table. So that's why I go into doing whatever I do to earn.
Yes.
You know? So is it actually a social media problem, or are we looking at a whole societal problem?
Yeah, for sure. Social media reflects society.
Yeah.
It's always like that because I always say this. Social media, there is a culture in social media. And this is why 3 years ago, something was working on social media and now it's not anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so for sure there is a societal problem. But it's also true that mindset-wise, people come to social media thinking that there is a code to crack, that algorithm is so powerful that you need to know how to play the algorithm. While at the end of the day, all the tips and tricks that I've ever heard from social media gurus, for me, never worked. Like every single time I went viral or I had a huge success on social media or a huge performance, it was always for something that was not advised.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, content is good content. That's it. It doesn't matter if you use the right hashtags or the right SEO or the right posting time.
Just do.
Just do. But the trick is about how to connect people with your content.
Okay.
So it's more about being catchy. It's more about providing value. It's more about giving. So it's about really like providing a value and knowing how to deliver the message in a way that people will listen.
Do you feel that it's actually, you know, as a whole, society generally wants to just, like wherever you go, you want to work with people and view people that you like, people that you feel have got the right intentions, motivations. Do you not feel that is like a recipe for the success, so to speak?
At the moment, yes. At the moment, I think that is one of the successes recipe of social media, because authenticity is what really sells in 2023 in social media. So if you come with the right intentions and you're very clear and you see that, and like it's clear that you want to help people, that you want to put something out there for others, it's easier to get an audience than just look at me. This is what I'm doing.
So do you think this, obviously what you're saying is, authenticity is the key, but general media, mass media, how can you be authentic when it comes to mass media, or because it's all scripted, so to speak, right? So do you feel social media is going to take over even further, and we're going to see this shift from what we have, like, mass media on the TV right now, your traditional channels, and the way, people gain information, to basically what you could describe being your average Joe on the street, being able to provide more information because people feel that they can connect with that person more than your traditional mass media channels?
Yes, 100%.
So how does that, where do you see it going then in the next, let's say the next 5 years?
I think social media will be the new mass media.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest with you, I don't know many people my age, our generation, that is actually watching TV anymore, apart from Netflix.
Yeah.
But for news and stuff like this, I don't know anyone. Actually, I know more people that stopped completely because they found it toxic. And when they stopped, they found it liberating.
People don't believe in it. Like, for me,
Yeah.
when I look at mass media and we're going down the news route here, I'm already, when someone's saying something, why are they saying it?
Yes.
So there's already immediately, the moment they're bringing words out of their mouth, it's not authentic.
Yeah, it's already an ulterior motive.
It's an ulterior motive to some political or professional agenda. That's the way I see it. And I think that's becoming more and more prevalent to the mass population. And actually, why would you want to watch this mass media when actually people now know that actually it's a propaganda machine essentially for someone else? It's not telling you the truth. It's not providing you with information which is authentic. Now, someone could go out there and provide a piece of information that wasn't true, but they could still be authentic and believing it's true.
Yeah.
I would much rather someone come along with that authenticity than someone actually read off a script for some agenda which I don't want to be part of.
Yes.
So do you foresee that the percentages of people viewing traditional media is just going to go almost to zero? Because I feel that anyone under the age of 40 to 45 now is not watching mass media.
Yeah, I think it will go down to zero because it's especially because social media brought awareness regarding this. And it's reaching more and more people. I always say that social media is an amazing tool if you know how to use it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that say that social media is toxic. Yes, everything is toxic if you do it wrong. But social media is actually a very powerful tool because it wrecks, let's say, all the boundaries. So you can connect with people from all over the world and see what people on the other side of the world are doing, right?
Yeah, you're connected to people you otherwise wouldn't have been connected to before.
Exactly.
You're not stuck in some sort of, 15-minute city where you only have this box view of the world.
Exactly.
No, you have the eyes and ears of people all over the world with different perspectives.
Exactly.
Would you say that in that case then, social media is awakening humanity?
Yes, because connecting is what awakens humanity.
Yes.
Because the problem is always when people stay in small groups and they don't exchange anything with other groups.
So
right?
because they're seeing themselves as something different, a separation, a divide. Whereas if perhaps
maybe because they're just not aware of what is going on somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because
then if they're not aware, then perhaps all they're going to do is take what they see in mass media or what they don't know. So you're getting perspectives of people all over the world, people awakening to an understanding of the world isn't perhaps the way it was, or and perhaps it's never been that way. Perhaps we've just been having the blinkers on for so long. And by doing so, and you can say, I think we go back to that word authenticity. By having and seeing that authenticity, I'm speaking to someone that I would never have even dreamed of speaking to on the street. But immediately I know in my heart of hearts that person is speaking truth, or at least what they believe to be truth. I can't say that when I listen to a news broadcaster on CNN or the BBC,
because
right?
it's not relatable anyway.
Correct. That's the word I was waiting for.
It's not relatable because even if you connect with that person in the TV, you know that you cannot actually have an access to that person.
Yeah.
While on social media, there is always access possible.
So if you look at this, you add all this up, you can see that on social media, we've got this authenticity. We've got this ability to be relatable to each other.
Yes.
And by doing so, the powers that be, shall we say, have lost control of a narrative. And the narrative is now controlled authentically through your average people on the street.
I think so. I think that, honestly, okay, a super, super basic example. If I want to try a new product, anything, can be shampoo, okay? The first thing I do is looking on TikTok for someone who made a tutorial about it or a review about it. I don't go look on YouTube, not YouTube, on Google or the news or a magazine or one of the mainstream, you know?
Because it's an ad, it's not authentic.
I go to listen to someone that actually tried it and I want to see how it works for them. And, you know, like this is what I do. Every time I want to try something new, social media is where I go.
So you're starting to say that the whole world, the whole financial system that we're in, which has been driven over however many decades in this marketing way of driving a product or service at you, has completely flipped its head. Because prior, someone, you know, a corporation was, or a government or whatever, was saying you should do this because of X, Y, Z. And we just took it as gospel. When realistically, now there's people out there that are just going a little further behind the scenes to say, well, actually, I researched this or I did this. And now what we're getting is people being able to provide their own opinion on something rather than essentially before we're just being sold to. So now we can make our own decisions on what we want to, the actions we want to take about either purchasing something, whether that be a product or service, or our own opinions on the way the world works and where it's going, because it's no longer being fed through media in a way where it's controlled. Now it's open for that connectivity of different human beings out there to provide a value to everyone.
Of course, also because you see people that are unbiased, you know, and you can hear a completely opposite opinion regarding one same product. But then it's up to you to decide which one you want to believe or relate. So it's information, you know, that before was not there. And information is knowledge, and knowledge is power.
Okay, so let's go one step further. And I'm going to link this to success. Traditionally, and I've said this before, is that people's perception of success is driven by money. Would it be fair to say that social media has potentially changed that? Because some people, like we talk about, that success of getting likes, that dopamine buzz of getting people responding, or 100,000 views on a video, and suddenly your intentions for doing are driven by the value that you get, that feeling. Now, whether that feeling is that admiration feeling from other people, or whether that feeling is actually I'm doing something good for others, and because of that, I feel successful. So I use the example, like I got 60,000 followers, right? Doesn't mean I'm going to make any money out of it, but I feel successful for what I've done. Why? Because I've been able to provide value to a lot of people, to be able to educate them on the things that I know. So
true. But we have to do a separation here, a discernment, because in your case, maybe in my case, we are people that are actually educating an audience. Like we base our social media at the moment in educating. Then there are people that are just, I don't know, showing their lives, doing vlogs, or sometimes even some things that are not really valuable. And they get validation out of, like, it's fame. So for them, I just want to make a discernment between what is fame and what is actually admiration, but in a good way. You know, so in your case, you feel successful not because you're famous, not because you are getting validation, but because you have a feedback from people making you feel like I'm actually helping them. Yes. For other people, the likes and comments could be just like, oh, look how much people like me. So there is still a discernment to do in the type of content creator. It's that, the main separation.
From my own personal experience, I feel like I've grown dramatically, because I've had to understand the way the world works. I've opened my mind to of thoughts and things about the world that I didn't even possibly think were even possible like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So that's the first point for me. And then also you have to learn and grow and understand to know the way the whole social media vertical works, that you are going to get people that simply go and take the piss out of you for saying something, for saying your opinion. And actually you've got to get to a point where you can say, you know what, I understand, you know, you have to have this almost compassion for those kind of people that are saying that they want to share that. And actually it's almost like, well, why would someone want to put you down when you are, you know, providing value to people? And actually you say, actually, you got to almost care for that person, that obviously they've got other things going on in their life to be able to come across in such a negative way. So again, that's helped my own personal growth. Because in the beginning, when I'm none of you, when I got my first comment, which was like harsh, I felt it. The first one, I was like, I felt it the first couple of times. I'm like, oh, that's not very nice. Why would someone want to do that? Oh, do I really need to be saying these things? Should I be saying these things? And actually what it did, it hurt in the beginning, but as anything in life, wherever there's pain, there's growth, right? Pain equals growth in some capacity. And all that meant was I realized that by providing this value, you are exposing yourself to thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that you otherwise wouldn't. And you can't possibly expect that when there's 100,000 people watching your video, that 100,000 people are going to agree with you. Mm-hmm. You can also, you also got to accept that when you 100,000 people watching your video, that 100,000 people are going to give you a nice thumbs up for it. You know, there are going to be people with their own problems out there. And it's actually taking my own psychology behind myself to say, okay, all I need to do is show love to those people out there. It's like every comment that's negative, I'm going to give a positive response. I'm like, okay, appreciate the comment, appreciate the feedback. Okay, no worries, whatever, appreciate it. You know, it's like, okay, and actually sometimes, and you should see this in a business as well, the people that put you down, or the people that are critical of what you're doing, actually aids you in the process. It's easy to get that real good feeling. Thanks to that, Nathan. That's really useful. Great. That's a great feeling, that little dopamine buzz. But actually where you grow is the downside of it. You say the toxic side of it, actually. But internally, if you can handle that, you can actually grow within yourself so much more than what you would have if you weren't going through this process.
Well, I have a few things to say regarding this. So the first one is that people project very much.
Yeah.
Okay. And a lot of times, like what I saw in my experience in social media is that a lot of times people comment for the sake of commenting, like comment something opposite of what you're saying for the sake of reaffirming themselves. Like, I don't even think it's because they really think it. It's because they need to say something. It's like when people, they listen to you to reply. They don't listen to you to understand.
Yes.
You get me? So it's because it's a way to have a voice somehow. The third thing is that I also think that, yes, you grow from that. And I understand when you're saying these people come from maybe a harsh situation and you show them love back. Wait. Because...
Okay.
I mean... Okay, it depends on the type of harshness they're giving you.
Yeah.
Because if it is a constructive type of negative, so someone that is just questioning whatever you're saying, but from humble, like, I'm asking you, like, is this what you mean? You know, good, then I understand.
Yeah.
But when people are just like blatantly criticizing you out of nowhere, I don't think you should reply with love. To be honest, because it's still not nice.
Yeah.
And I still think that a lot of creators out there, they're not engaging in arguing with people because they think, I need to have a reputation. I cannot, start arguing. But then these things grow inside of you, even if you don't want.
I have a way of dealing with this. And it's almost a set comment, which I say every time. It's appreciate the comment. I would love to get your feedback on why you think this. Normally, it means they shut down and they don't respond because they realized, oh, I've been caught out because I wasn't expecting to get a professional and fair response to what I was saying. And sometimes you do get a response to it. And actually what happens is you'll start to have a brief conversation with them to the point where they end up going, they actually, I wouldn't say agree with you, but appreciate the fact that you've took the time to revert their initial comment, because they get to a point where they realize 3 or 4 comments down the line where you've been fair to them. They're like, they realize they did wrong in the first place. To me, you've just add value in their life by doing that, because maybe they're going to realize at that point, actually, for them to put a comment which is not necessarily nice, that it's not constructive. There's obviously a perception either going on in their life, or a perception of what you've put across to them. They've marked you with a cross to say, you are like this. And perhaps what you're doing by being professional and giving them a fair response, which is something they're not going to expect when they've been harsh to you, you've already perhaps turned that person to think, oh, what I said there wasn't probably right, because if it was true, he wouldn't have responded to me in that way.
Yeah, that's for sure. But sometimes you also have, here you're talking about being the bigger person. This is what you're talking about. Sometimes I don't think it's what you should do. This is the only thing. Because you also need to defend yourself. This is what I mean. So when people are harsh unnecessarily too much, they need to be shut down. Shut up, whatever you want to call it. It's not fair. Well, I also have trolls, like proper trolls, like the type of people that come to your video just to offend you. I don't know. Oh, you look ugly.
Yeah.
You know. Okay. In that case, I don't even they make me laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But other people, when they want to be the fake intellectual and they start leaving all these comments in which they are talking so much, and for me, it's just okay. So, and I don't see the conversation. Like, this is the thing.
I'm different. I take the 1%. I'm going to take every single time I have to go on the basis that I am never 100% correct. And they could be 99% wrong. But there's always something behind why someone said something. So to be able to get to the crux of that in a way where you can be professional and fair, I feel actually you're doing value to the entire situation. That's just the way that I've always approached it. I've responded to every negative comment I have ever had pretty much with the same thing. Appreciate the comment. I would love to understand why you think like this. And then it's like, I think like this. Oh, okay. I understand to a certain point. However, have you thought about X, Y, Z? And all that you've done is continue to show the value to that person. Actually, maybe they didn't initially think. And generally, when you say that, oh, X, Y, Z, they'll go, yeah, thanks, man. Maybe you're right. Thumbs up or something. And then you've turned that person. And it goes back to that kind of thing of like, you learn the most from the unhappy customer. And on social media, that essentially is the unhappy customer.
Yeah, that's true, but I think it's a very low percentage.
Of course.
Because out of, after being 3 years on social media and posting consistently and having, I have been viral for, many times, and
You're always over my For You page everywhere. I'd like, her face again, really? Again? I just saw her earlier. Again?
Okay, come on. So, I'm telling you that sometimes people just want to argue. They just want to argue. And even if you're giving value back, they don't see it. So you're wasting your time. This is what I mean. In your case, maybe you are more niche. You're talking about proper advices, you are very niche.
Yeah.
While sometimes I was talking about even general stuff, People want to argue. This is...
So perhaps then you're saying based on the type of content that you produce, there's more room for gray areas.
And also based on how much reach you have, because I always say this, I hate going viral because you get unfiltered audience.
Yes.
So anyone can come to your video and comment, and it's people that maybe you were not even targeting.
Yeah.
And are not even interested in that specific subject.
Yeah.
So yes, it depends on these two things, like the niche you have and how much reach you have.
Yeah.
I prefer when my videos stay around the 50,000 views max. You
Okay.
know, when they go to 100,000, 500,000, 1 million, it's when you will start getting anything.
Yeah, you quite often. I felt that. So you quite often when the videos do go viral, you're always going to have a debate in your comments in some capacity because you're going to have all conflicting opinions because you've now reached such a large audience. You know, you're not that. You know, there might have been when there was 100 views, there might have been 2 people that didn't agree with you that just didn't respond. But when there's a million,
but this is not what I meant, because what I mean is like the debate is fine. Let's debate.
Yeah.
It's the quality of the debate that changes when you go viral.
Okay, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Also because a lot of people when your video is viral, they open their For You page, they see it. They don't check, okay, this is a short, I don't know, it's a short out of a podcast. Let me see what she said before, what she said after.
Yeah.
Like they take that, they start talking on that, and maybe look in the video before I said exactly that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of over explanation. But at the end, okay, it's part of the job. I'm just saying that I don't think that love is always the answer. This is what I meant. Sometimes it's also good to shut people up, like, and tell them, listen, you have a debate, be constructive about it. Like, no reason to be so aggressive or so, judging.
Yeah, I think, again...
Also because the last thing I wanted to tell about this subject is that criticism always... not criticism, unconstructive, not constructive criticism always comes from people that are doing worse than you.
Absolutely.
So this is also why sometimes I'm not replying with love, because why would I listen to you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you nailed it on the head there.
Yeah.
There's no one out there in the world going to be giving you that kind of abuse that doesn't be able to actually process what you're saying, as long as you're being respectful on your content, which obviously you are. You're building up that level of.
But listen, one of my last videos that went viral was a video in which I was saying that consistency is a must in social media if you want to start a business. Okay?
Of course it is, yeah.
I had comments from people that have 5 million followers on 2 million followers on TikTok saying yes. Guess who were the people that were saying no?
The people that don't have any followers.
Of course. Course.
So do you reckon, I'm going to throw it out there, do you reckon that there are bots out there that are set out to be able to do exactly that, to cause a debate and therefore get more engagement to the platforms? It would make sense. If I'm a business and you're in the business of attention, that's what you are. To gain attention, the one thing to gain attention is to exactly do what you said, is get people emotionally charged by some people coming out with ridiculous, what are perceived by the majority to be ridiculous ways of thinking. So is it fair to say there could be bots out there to cause that kind of debate, to increase the level of engagement on each of these platforms? To me, as a business owner, that would make sense, even though perhaps there are arguably some moral or ethical considerations to be had if that's the case. But do you think that's actually occurring?
No. I don't think you can. If there are, they are real people, not bots. You cannot really, I think, program a bot to actually understand a specific content and create a debate.
I disagree.
You can.
I think.
Yeah, but how much work is behind that?
I think AI, and this is where social media next comes into place, where I think AI is going to be a massive threat, and this is where I believe social media is going. And this is with me building Creator, I've built it in this way that this is where I believe it's going to be in 5 years. AI is going to take over society in a way that we simply cannot comprehend. What AI can already do with voice and video and text was
scary.
Scary. It was unthinkable even 24 months ago for the majority of people, 12 months ago, and every day by day, the growth of AI is exponential. So what I see happening is you're going to get to a point where AI becomes that good that we could be having this conversation as we are now, and AI will look exactly like us and sound exactly like us, and we could say, and AI could be used in a negative way for us to say things or perceive from the perception of people outside of us saying things that we're not saying. Therefore, what's going to have to occur, this is what I foresee, is that everyone is going to, on social media, have to have a digital identity. And that's where the whole society moves into this digital identity age, right? That's what's been trying to be pushed. It's not that it's actually going to need to be pushed. It's going to be required. If you're building content on social media and you're putting yourself out there, you know, there's already, just for the two of us, with what we've produced in our facial expressions, on our content, the way that we speak, the way we articulate, there's an AI program out there that could replicate and call up your mum pretending to be you, and it's happening, right? Pretending to be you, say, Mum, give me my credit card. I need you to transfer me some money into this place. And your mum's going to think it's actually you. So if that technology already exists right now to creators out there, where do you see that going to be in the next 3-5 years? Well, obviously, there's going to have to be a point where anything on social media, everything, even down to a phone call, whatever, is going to actually be almost your blue tick mark. It's going to have to be that you're registered, your identity is registered, so we actually know it's you. And that's where I foresee things happening. And what that also means is it's going to be far more difficult for the keyboard warriors, so to speak, to start putting all these negative comments out there, because when their identity is there and that we know who that person is, they're not going to be saying those harsh, nasty things that they currently are right now. If you look at all the content creators, the users out there on social platforms that are writing these horrible things or let's say not being nice to the creators, it's very rarely you actually can see who those people are.
Yes.
Very rarely.
Yes.
They hide behind their perception in their little world of like, yeah, I'm going to say this to you, but you don't know who I am. That's going to change. And it'll start with us creators from the top. It's like, well, it'll start with us because we don't want our identities to be able to utilize in bad ways. We want our identities to be protected. We want to ensure that when it is us speaking and it is us doing these videos, people know it is us. And that's going to be the start of an entire revolution moving towards everything online being verified by who you are and what you're doing and what you're using. And I think that's that. And I don't think we're more than half a decade away from that, possibly less. With my platform, what I've been building, we've already integrated that into our model that everyone needs to be verified. Your blue tick goes on the basis that we know exactly who you are. So, you know, and creators out there wanting to create have got no problem with providing their identities. No problem whatsoever. So it's then more about the average user on the street. Are they going to be happy with that? And how does that work? But that's where I foresee it happening. And that then goes one step further. The moment people are monetizing on a platform and you have your identity and it's already linked, it can link to a digital wallet inside your platform. So why would you need to go anywhere else? Why would you need to go? You're looking, I think Elon Musk probably has thought about this with his idea for X, is that it's the all-in-one app and it starts with social media because that's where the attention is. The average user in the United Arab Emirates spends 2 hours and 58 minutes on social media per day, and 98% of the UAE uses social media. So they're spending 3 hours a day on social media. So to me, why would you need to go to your Noon or your Careem app when the app that you spend most of your time on is social media. So then you're looking at digital identity. Beyond digital identity, you're looking at wallets. Beyond wallets, you're looking at the way you purchase. And the entire ecosystem of how we spend and what we do is driven from that. And that's my vision of where things will go, I believe. Of
course. And people, like, to be honest with you, all this technology, even AI if you want, and even the way social media works, we are lazy. We are lazy. Like, we want things to be easy. Because even on social media, yes, I always say that you have to provide the value. But why? It's because people want their life to want other people to make their life easier. This is what they want.
Yeah.
So they want tips and tricks on how to do things in the easiest way.
Yeah.
So if I can purchase everything on social media, I'm scrolling on TikTok and I'm suddenly, I don't know, hungry, or on any social media.
Really? You hungry? Really?
And I'm suddenly hungry. Then I want to be able to do
Is
it
that hungry
in
or
the social
hangry?
media. Hungry. And I'm suddenly hungry. I want to be able to purchase food on social media.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
want to like leave the social media and go to another app and like, you know what I mean?
It's very interesting that you foresee that occurring. Watch this space. So,
I think yes,
Yeah.
it's something that people would want to do.
yeah,
at some
absolutely. It's
point.
like why need anything else?
And then how many times it happens that you open a video and you see these people talking about something, I don't know, this is amazing, you have to try it. Can you give me a link? Can you, okay, I want to try it now.
Give me a
You make me
solution.
want.
Also, this is another thing about social media, that what the ecosystem that it's created is that people are ready to purchase something they didn't even know they were ready to purchase. You are
Yes.
creating the value of something that didn't exist to them. Traditionally, when someone is, looking to search for a product through Google, let's say, it's like, I want to go and buy a tent. You're going to go to Google and you go buy a tent, right? But actually, in the case of rather than going camping, you're flicking through social media and you see kayaking. You're like, oh, I never thought about kayaking before over going on camping. You know what? I'll go kayaking. And actually, then you click into a solution directly to kayaking and you become the new Google in some capacity anyway, or Amazon, however you want to look at it. Because you're creating the demand for that product without even knowing it, previously knowing it before watching that video.
As an influencer manager, an influencer, and a coach, one of the things that is pissing me off the most about social media is that there is no built-in link in the caption. There isn't.
Built-in link to a solution.
You can, yes. Like, for example, the example with the shampoo, okay? I'm talking about shampoo these days because I'm actually really looking for a shampoo, okay?
Yeah.
And I see this girl, she's talking amazing about a specific shampoo, and then she tells you, this is the shampoo. So you need to take a screenshot. You need to open your app in which you actually buy usually shampoo. You have to look if it is the same shampoo, if it's available. If it was already there in the link, I would have just opened it there, purchased it there.
Correct.
Easy
So
peasy.
there's two things why this occurs, and again, watch this space. I'm not going to give away too much.
Yes.
One, the social media apps rely their business model is based on data and keeping the user on the site as long as possible to gain as much data as possible,
Sure.
and keep the attention for as long as possible to link to the basis that they're going to sell their ads inside the app. That's the current social media monetization structure, which is completely in favor of the big social media companies and against the creator. Mm-hmm. I'm going to change that and flip it on its head. And that's my goal anyway. And that essentially means then it's not so much about the attention inside the app. It's about providing a solution to the consumer. And that solution can be external from the app. That's not a problem. Right? It could even be built in the app eventually. But it doesn't matter, because your primary goal isn't about monetization based on keeping the user always inside the app, because the monetization element has been flipped towards in favor of the creator and the user getting the solution. And that's fine if it occurs outside the app, because you've already tracked it on the way. So I think what we will see is an evolution of social media apps. So I know what I'm trying to do, but there's going to be a gazillion and one other alternatives out there. It's not like one person's just going to come up with a solution. There's going to be lots of different alternatives. I think TikTok is positioned very well to perhaps evolve itself into something more. In China, they're already utilizing it in a way where it's almost become an Amazon at the same time, to be able to have solutions inside it. I think that evolution will move to the rest of the world, but there'll also be alternatives. And there are, due to the nature of the way the social media platforms have used their business models up to date, that does open a door to be able to switch it and offer much more value to the consumer, and a much more fair trade-off for the creator at the same time, and in turn incentivize the creator to be able to to create more content and therefore offer more value to the consumers?
I think that creators feel very abundant in every single app because they're providing so much content. One of the reasons why audiences stay in app is because of huge creators.
If we go back,
Creators are not really taken care of by the apps.
Yeah, well, that goes back to what we were saying, is that they're relying on people, on these creators, they thrive off the admiration, not off the monetization. And that works to a certain extent because there are a lot of people out there that thrive off admiration. There are a lot of people out there that want to provide value for people. But actually, at the core of it, to maximize the growth of the content, the creator economy, people have got to be able to earn. So the pie needs to be shared in a much more fair slicing, shall we say, so that it entices people to create more, because not everyone is motivated just by the value of providing value to the consumer for free, or that admiration of getting those likes or the followers. Actually, the majority of people need to put, as I said before, food on the table. So I think switching the model is imperative in regards to the growth of the creator economy. It's already growing exponentially anyway. So just imagine if you add that in as well.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you see it when people, like some creators, when they sell something in their content, okay? Whether they are coaches, whether they are personal trainers, whether they are influencers promoting a brand, okay?
Yeah.
And people at the end or in comments, they might say to them, oh, you are saying all these videos just to sell a product at the end. And they get like demonized because they're selling something at the end.
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts regarding this? Because I have very clear thoughts, but I want to know, you are building an app based on this.
Okay, two ways of looking at it. One, I think if the content loses its authenticity by focusing on monetization, it becomes an ad, and therefore I can understand why people lose that idea, because the whole point of what we said right from word go is we want to keep that authenticity.
Of course, but let's say authenticity is there. Like you have an amazing, mind-blowing type of content, mindset changing, but at the end, this person is saying, come to my program.
Yeah. That I think, you've got to live in reality. If you're telling me that I can put food on the table for no money and I can live for no money and there's no money in the world and everyone works in this fantastic society where money isn't an issue and we provide value to everyone, that's a great utopia, and sign me up for wherever it comes. But let's be honest, that ain't the way the world works right now.
Yeah.
That's the reality. So, okay, what can we do? Well, what we can do, at least, is start to share the pie in a way which is more fair across the board, rather than having billion-dollar companies, social media companies, soaking up the value of the whole user.
Yeah.
And switch from this model of a value of a vertical to be able to monetize on the value of entire viewership. So at the moment, what happens is, you talk about social media, right? Or let's say your expertise is social media coaching. Therefore, it means you can monetize in social media coaching. But the platforms monetize on your viewers staying on the platform for hours and knowing everything about that user to provide data elsewhere. Well, excuse my French, but BS. No, it shouldn't work like that. You're the one that's providing value because you're a creator. You are just a piece of that. And therefore, to be able to maximize your growth, and you'll be able to put the food on the table, as I keep saying, you should be earning on the value of a viewership. Yes, perhaps not as much. If someone goes and buys a pizza, right, that's not in your vertical. You don't expect to earn that much. But if you're providing the value to platform, you should be getting a piece of the pie.
Sure.
The guy that does the video on pizza, yes, they're going to get more. Yeah. Makes sense. But if you're the one that initially drives that traffic to the platform, you're the one that brought the business to the platform, then you should be getting a piece of the pie all the way along. And this is where you're going to see the transformation of social media from the value of verticals to the value of the entire viewership, separating these big corporations at the moment where they're reliant just on data for themselves to being separated across all the creator economies. And then you're going to be looking at all sorts of ways, perhaps decentralization of content, decentralization of ownership, where the creator owns the value that they provide. And therefore, okay, if you put your content on my platform, okay, great. You put your content on my platform. That's awesome. But because you own it, I'm basically, as a platform, I'm renting it off you. right? So whatever you drive to the platform, I'm renting off that. So let's say you put a piece of content, a user onto the site. Through your content, you drive traffic to me. Okay, I'm renting your content, which rightfully so, because you provided the value, right? As your own business person. Okay, great. You provide the value. I'm going to rent it off you, and that means if I make $100 from what you provided, whereas before you would have just earned in what you earned from your vertical, I earn $100 from that particular user, left, right, and center. You're going to get a piece of the $100 overall from what I've earned based on what you've provided, because I'm renting that content off of you. That's the way it should work. When it's user-generated content, what happens with these social media platforms is they own the content. They own you. So at the moment, when we're providing all this value, we think we're giving to these people. We are. But the reality is the social media companies own it. They own you.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
No.
So something's got to change, right?
As a business owner, how do you see when people are actually giving so much value, let's say for free on social media, and they don't try to sell something at the end of a video?
Well, that's what I've done for the last 3 years.
Do you see it as a wasted opportunity?
No, because I've provided value to people. If I can just, like, if you put something out there in the world, and it is and 100,000 people view it, and it affects one person positively out of those, and 99,999 it doesn't.
Yeah.
Is it valuable?
Yes.
Absolutely it is.
Yes.
If you can make any value to any person's life, even one single person, of course it's worth it. But we're having to adapt to the society that we live in, right? So, okay, let's find a way to make it more fair for everyone. We already go back to what we're saying. Social media is changing the way people perceive the world. No longer we look at mainstream media. Why? Because there's that connection between people on social media, that authenticity. Well, that actually right now it's being held up because of the current social media models. If you give free rein to decentralization, where creators have the ability to come on and potentially earn on day one in this one-stop shop place, imagine what the world can possibly go down in regards to the awakening of society, because actually more and more and more and more people that right now are on the sidelines and not creating content because they can't earn or there's not enough value, whatever, start to do so. Now, I watched this guy called Ray Dalio. He's a really successful economist. He has his own hedge fund. And he's in his 70s. Okay, and obviously he's written this book called The Principles of a Changing World Order, and it basically explains what's occurring through society over specific time frames. So it basically said it happened to the Dutch Empire, it happened to the British Empire, now it's happening to the US Empire, the rise and fall of empires. And he's taken all this expertise and knowledge that he's put across, and the knowledge that he's learned over decades to be able to provide and give back to people. Now, he's like in his 70s, 80s. Now, he's got a lot of finance behind him to be able to provide that value and that content to people. He's actively said, no, it's now. And he also talks about this. It's like, it's now my time to give back to people. I went through my time and my cycle in life where I earned myself. Now it's my time to give back to people. There are hundreds of thousands of millions of people like Ray Dalio that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s out there, even 40s, 30s, that have a value to provide to people, but right now aren't doing it because
they cannot afford it.
They cannot afford it.
I know.
So imagine if you could move the system away from the way it is now into a way where it's more equitable, where people have that incentivization to be able to say, okay, I'm getting something out of this. Actually, this has a value. Sometimes, for a lot of people out there, people just need a little push, right? There's lots of people that start creating their first piece of content and it gets 10 views and they give up. Or they might create a second piece or a third piece and they might get 100 views or 1,000 views. They don't earn anything from it, so they're like, I'm not going to do it anymore. But actually, if we change it in a way where there's that little push, just imagine, like, you create a piece of content and you earn 50 cents. Not much, right? But is that enough to create a second piece of content which might earn you another 50 cents?
Yeah.
That's that little push for people to say, hang on a minute, this is good. I'm providing my value to the world And I guarantee you, the core of people out there in the world just generally want to do good for people. They like the idea of providing their value and expertise. But the current system doesn't let us do that. You know, a really good example in our community is Arash, the lawyer, and there's another lawyer, Lou, I can't remember what her name is, but they're lawyers, right? And the typical structure of lawyers is, this is pay me and I'll tell you the piece of information. Is that really ethically right? But that's how the system works. But they've gone and flipped it and said, you know what? And it's just as we have in different ways as well. I think lawyers is a really great example. They've gone and flipped it and said, no, I'm going to provide you with a vast amount of information. Now, it might not be completely specific to you, but it's enough information to perhaps send you on your way. But the reality is, I know that when push comes to shove, perhaps if there is more to be known, who are you coming to? So you're getting both the values here. You're getting that feeling of like, yes, I'm providing the value to people out there in the world. But at the same time, you're like, I know by doing so, the likelihood is that people will come to me to be able to aid them, which that can potentially aid me financially as well.
So what do you think about gatekeeping in your content?
What do you mean?
Because, for example, lawyers, they can earn, like, they use social media as coaches might use social media, or personal trainers or doctors or whatever, real estate agents, to drive more leads to them. However, they cannot say everything in their content, because otherwise why would people buy, right? So my question is, how is it right or wrong to gatekeep, and how much someone should? I personally don't believe in gatekeeping.
Do you mean gatekeeping by like only providing a little piece of the pie?
Yes. So for the rest, people will have to buy for the rest.
Yeah, well, okay. With this, I think it goes back to what people want. Firstly, people love to get stuff for free. We know that, right? And we also know we go back to that authenticity. The great thing about social media, and I think TikTok has taken this to another level in comparison to Instagram and the other platforms.
Yeah, for sure.
Authenticity, if people see it, they're going to drive towards it, and therefore they're going to get more views in comparison to someone providing them with something which feels like it's an ad. Yeah. And that if you're talking about gatekeeping, it's an ad, right? In that case, you're not going to get the engagement that you require. You're not going to be able to, because you're not providing enough value. You know, the system has completely been flipped on its head with social media. It's now, whereas before is, pay me and I'll tell you the information. Now it's give as much value as possible, and then you might come to me afterwards. You don't have to, right? But I'm in a far greater chance. I'm putting myself out there by providing as much value as I can, because, you know, particularly things like law and finance, whatever, everything's individual. The majority of things, like even if you've got a plumbing problem, right? Someone can give a basic idea of this is the plumbing problem, but it might slightly be different for your toilet, right? Or whatever, right? Exactly the same. If you go out there and provide the value, and you're authentic in providing that value, you know by doing so, people are more likely to come to you.
Yes.
And if we can create this platform where more and more people are incentivized to do that, you're changing this complete culture in society of like money first, give later. No, give first, and you might get something out of it.
Sure. I completely agree with that, because it's, again, the energy of the giving.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the trick of actually having a social media business.
There's no trick. Just treat people how you would want to be treated.
Not the trick, but like it's a rule.
It's not rocket science. Actually, when at the core of it, it's not rocket science.
This is why I'm saying that people think that social media is a code that they need to crack. They're overcomplicating it.
No,
it's people.
I love this. The thing I always look at this, like, if you're gonna sell something, right? If you wouldn't sell it to your mum, you shouldn't be selling it. And if you're going out to do anything in this world, treat that person the way you would treat your mum when you're doing it.
Of course.
And people see that. People feel that. People feel humanity. People feel what's right. And people gravitate to that. Unfortunately, we've just been driven in this capitalist society, which has gone way too far, where people start to think about money first and morals later.
Do you think it's only capitalism, or it's also hustle culture?
Hustle culture is a direct byproduct of how far capitalism's gone too far. No,
Is the
don't just say, I'm a
toxicity.
capitalist, right? I'm not, you know, that's not,
No,
that's
of
not hold us
course.
back. But the reality is the system that we've driven is now owned, the whole
Is the-
world is owned by like 3 companies
and
at the
it
core
has
of it.
degenerated. As usual, like things always exaggerated and they reach the point of toxicity.
Yeah, and then there's time for change. And
Yes.
I think with what's going on in the world right now, we're talking about media on one level, politics and everything, and social media and that transformation of everything going on. We're actually at that point in history. Like, it goes back to Ray Dalio. I was saying about the cycles again and the changing world order. We're at that point in history where changes are required and astronomical changes are required. And perhaps because, as we say in the UAE, on average, people are spending 2 hours and 58 minutes a day on social media. Social media is at the forefront of it because it's the most, you spend more time on social media than you do speaking to your husband or wife. So I think watch this space.
Well, Nate, thank you so much for this.
My
It
pleasure.
was
It was
super
actually, it was good,
interesting.
right?
Yes,
Good
it was
banter.
very
Always
good.
good. Always good.
And I can't wait to see your app up and running. And try it.
It'll be, in the next couple of months, we'll slowly, it's not, like I said, nothing comes overnight. And it's been a long old slog, but I actually think slowly but surely there's going to be value brought to a lot of people.
Amazing then. And congrats.
And for you as you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Okay. Cheers. Bye.